Little did I know that this aquarium was to become a death tank. I originally set it up to house guppies. In fact, I was very pleased with the attempt that I'd made on the terracing, and I certainly liked the overall look. I'd introduced well-established plants and moved from these other tanks, filter medium, so it could establish quickly. In fact, it completed a nice trio of tanks. After allowing plenty of time for the water to mature further, I introduced some guppy fry. That's when the trouble began. Within a couple of days, the fry had all died off. I checked the pH, pulled out my test kit, tested the water parameters, everything was okay, and I assumed the death was just due to poor acclimatization. As can be seen from the change to the colour of the stones, I had allowed more time for the tank to mature before introducing any fish, and I had also changed the water a number of times. And at first it seemed quite happy in the tank, but after a couple of days I came in the morning to see it had died. Now it was pregnant, and I associated that death with problems with giving birth. After countless water changes, I introduced a group of 5 glow-light tetras. One died within 2 days, and I caught the others and put them back in the main tank, but unfortunately they also died. By now I knew there was something wrong. I persevered with water changes, and after another month or so I introduced a larger gourami. A couple of days later it was showing distress, so I caught it and put it back in the community tank, and it fully recovered. But I knew that this tank was a goner. Time to put on my Sherlock cap. Now it's not quite a standard tank, because when it had arrived the back glass was smashed, and so I attempted to replace that myself. It was my first attempt at doing so, and I ran into trouble with the partition pieces for the filtration system. But in the end I got there, but I had used more aquarium silicone than would normally be the case. The actual water and the filtration material would not be a cause, as I was using the same in my other tanks. I used standard aquarium gravel, so that should have been okay. I also used some leftover aquatic mix, which in itself would not be a problem, but I had found that some ants had got into this and I just couldn't get them out, so I just crushed everything up and used it. I had used this grid product to retain the substrate. Now I'd used it in another tank with no problems, so there should be no worries there. I sourced my scoria from a nursery. It came pre-washed, but even so I still gave it a thorough washing. Now it's a very absorbent type of material, and maybe it had been exposed to a spray or toxin, and once into that rock it'd probably take a while to work its way out. Now this scoria was stuck together using silicone. In fact, quite a lot of silicone was used. Although it was rated as being aquarium safe, perhaps it's only aquarium safe in very small quantities. So there you have it. What do you think was killing my fish? Personally, I don't know, but I suspect it was one of 3 things. Either the scoria was contaminated with a poison, or the silicone was toxic in larger quantities, or it was the ants. Now, what I know about ants is they are a fairly toxic sort of insect, quite acidic, and maybe there was just enough dead ants to contaminate that water. Now life must go on, so I tipped out everything in that tank and set it up again with completely new materials. The fish have been happy ever since and have been multiplying. I guess it's a case of just keep on fishing.